But I think this is extremely important, and I think this is one of the reasons why we've been able to attract Genentech, is that we've taken this very seriously in Vaccibody, that if we're not aiming to be best in class or first in class, then don't bother. And that's really the feeling that I have working and going into all these partnering discussions, talking to potential collaborators and also investors, professional investors, and that there are so many companies out there that have their own technology. So being able to really dare to do an ambitious project like we did with the fully personalized cancer neoantigen vaccine, that was really crazy to start that project. Being a Norwegian biotech company with 6 employees back in 2015, we had raised less than 50 million Norwegian kroner, and we were competing with the biggest environments in Boston and San Francisco that raised 110 million US dollars to just get started, had the optimal group with multiple employees from the start, and we're backed by long-term venture capitalists. We knew that our technology was perfectly based to make one vaccine per patient based on all the data that we generated. We knew we were small and we knew we were few and we had limited funding, but we knew that if we were just able to get this forward and get people to understand, they may understand that our technology would be perfect for making one vaccine per patient. And I'm extremely happy and proud that we got there today with that validation from Genentech. Next slide, please. You have to click more and more and more. I didn't go through this clicking, and more. Yeah, and more. I think funding for Vaccibody has taken a lot of focus. It still takes on some focus, but now with the $200 million, I think we can relax a bit, and we still need to keep focus on how to fund the company. But if it's one lesson that I've learned from this is that we've always had good data supporting the platform technology, but there's been very limited guts to really invest in the technology in the first 10, 12 years, which we suffer from now. So we really need to focus on increasing our patent portfolio, because you are eating out of that patent life when you are not focusing on developing products within the technology. Another thing that I think has been extremely important with all the different funding resources that we've been able to attract over the years is that there is an increasing need for due diligence. I started as a scientist. I wrote sort of notes in a lab book, and the due diligence that we've seen increasing over time, the amount of lawyers that we've included to help us with all the contracts and all the documents, and having full control of our quality systems and how we document everything has been extremely important. And there would not be any deal with Genentech if we were not in full control of all relevant documents. So that's an advice. Spend some resources on this as early as possible. Next slide. Next and next. So patents, I think maybe the lower line here is the most important. If you do not have IP protection, or if you have bad IP protection, there will never be a deal. What they buy is really your IP. And where did we fail? I mean, there's multiple lessons. We did actually publish a small abstract before the first patent application. Fortunately, that was in a field that is not the most interesting for Vaccibody. Patent life is running fast, as I said. It's an idea when you submit a patent that you actually provide the resources and activities to support the patent and develop products within. There's been a lot of value just having patents pending in all the interactions we've had with companies, etc. It takes time before these are approved our core patent, which is broad and has given us a lot of opportunities, and that's why we're sitting here now with a platform technology that we can develop multiple patents from. We submitted in 2003 and it was granted in 2014. So that's a long process. I think we are increasing IP expertise in-house, and that's also an advice. Do that as early as possible because that's the value of your company. Next slide. Next, click. Yeah, so success factors. I think networking is extremely important. You can do a lot of research and you can do a lot of good things, but to be able to meet people and to get them to relate to you and understand and feel that you are delivering on your promises is extremely important. These interactions that we've had with Genentech and Nectar and Roche, etc., has been a long-term relationship process over years, meeting at different interesting meetings. These are interesting with the bio meetings with the small sort of cabinets with the curtain that you meet for 30 minutes. That develops into meetings at the different companies and secret meetings in Oslo and secret dinners, etc., because it's very sensitive. But those relations, and to treat them with respect and show that you have quality in every aspect of your company is important. If you fail one of these, there will also not be a deal. We have a platform technology, but we did choose with the limited funding to focus, and that's been very important. And now we are at the stage where we can develop multiple products and spread. But the focus that we've had on few products has been extremely important. And the teamwork and the speed is the basis of everything and how we work together. Next slide. Hiring to meet all those success factors has been extremely important. I think the people working in Maxibody, I'm extremely proud of their dedication to the project. But we've been pretty selective in hiring people on their personality and their willingness to really live for the company and to pick up every ball and make sure that the quality that we deliver outside of Maxibody is so high standard. And we do dare to challenge each other to make sure that everything is well thought through. Next slide. Next. Yeah, so this is one of the things why you need sort of people, because when you start up a small company, you outsource a lot and you use contract research organizations in order to get the experiments done. And if you do not have those kind of people that dare to pick up the phone and scream from time to time to make sure that you really get the results that we need to meet our timelines, that we can then give forward to our collaborators or investors, that is extremely important. Next slide. Next. So really prepared to fight. I think it's not only for me that this has been a baby to protect in all means, but we've been a whole team willing to put our life to make this happen. And then, I mean, it's a big thing here. I have spent so many hours with lawyers over the last years, but they provide a lot of value, even though they are extremely expensive. So use them. Next slide. Next. Yeah, so this is something that's been very personal for me. I came from nowhere. I had no experience with developing or the biotech industry or the pharma industry. But I think that's also been sort of some of the strengths with Vaccibody, that when you don't know how they should be done with the conservative manner, that's an easier position to have to really push the limits and see if it makes sense logically to do it the conservative way or do it, as we say. So that's one of the things we focused on in Maxibody, to dare to challenge the conservative ways of moving forward. Next slide. Have fun. That's also part of hiring. Get the right people on board. We are very proud of the Maxibody culture and then how much fun we have, and the fact that we need to be in a separate room or separate building soon when we have a party, because it's a loud people and a fun crew to be around. So don't forget that in the everyday life. Next. So sometimes, or always maybe, it feels like you're climbing a very steep ladder and there is no opportunity to go down or to relax, really. And the sad thing is, when you reach the top, it's still just another mountain. But that also makes it interesting and fun. And I think we are now. In one way, we feel we have a safe stepping stone and safe basis, but there's a huge mountain ahead of us, and we're looking forward to that task. Next slide. Yeah, so that was basically my motivation talk today.
Yeah, that was really motivating. Thank you for sharing both your experience and advice, Agnete. I have one question for you before you turn off your camera. Can you think of one thing that you didn't learn at the university that you wish that you had?
Yeah, I think multiple things. I think the importance of documentation, the importance of how you treat people to make sure that they deliver what you need them to deliver in order to reach the targets that you have. I think that's extremely important.
Thank you. Then we take that then as a transition to the wrap up of this section of the second session of the Life Science Fest today. The very last stop on the agenda is a panel discussion about building competitive strength for the future. And we ask, how can higher education in Norway strengthen the life science sector? Our moderator for this discussion is Elise Ramse. Elise is head of people and organization in Novartis. Elise is a former HR manager at Medic Norway and advisor for Prime People HR Solutions. She is also leading the Life Science Cluster's Education and Competence Group. In the discussion, we also have Carl-Henrik Gjørvik, who's Director of UIO Life Science at the University of Oslo, Anne-Berit Walter, Program Coordinator at Oslo Met, and then we were supposed to have one more participant, Ågot Åkra, who's Dean of the Norwegian University of Life Sciences. Unfortunately, she has got the virus on the vocal cord and lost her voice. So, and you kind of need that for this kind of thing. So we hope to hear from her in another time. But I'm sure we'll still have an interesting discussion. So Elise, I leave the virtual stage to you.
Thank you very much, Lotte, and also congratulations on a truly great and inspiring conference today so far. Yes, so my name is Elise Littmoli Ramse. I will be leading you through this panel discussion with a key focus on how to build competitive strengths for the future through education and collaboration within the life science industries. So I will first give a brief background to the strategy and the mandate of the Competency and Education Group, consisting of 4 large universities and business schools. So we are represented by University of Oslo, NMBU, Oslo Metropolitan University of Oslo Met, and also BI Business School. So firstly, to the background. So the development of new knowledge and technology within the life science is moving extremely fast, and it is accelerating. Background. So this is a field which offers new technological solutions to all the great challenges of mankind, like food, health, environment, climate, energy, and potentials in agriculture, forestry, and more. So the potential for value creation in the emerging bioeconomy is huge, both for people and society, and for business and industry. And Norway really has the opportunity to be part of the solution to the global sustainability challenges followed by also disruption of business models. So also the mandate of our working committee in the life science cluster is to contribute to enabling the vision of the life science cluster and to connect science and business and achieve sustainable business development in life sciences in Norway. And we believe this is possible by strengthening the collaboration between academia, industry, and public sector. So on the behalf of Competency and Education Committee in the working group, I would like to, first of all, let Karl-Henrik Urbitz. Now you may unmute yourself and present yourself, please.
Sorry about that. So as you heard, my name is Karl-Henrik Urbitz. I'm Director of UI of Life Science, which is a so-called strategic initiative at University of Oslo. We deal with life sciences, obviously. Our most important business is what we call convergence environments, which are interdisciplinary groups of researchers set to handle the really big challenges within health in general. So we have people working with diabetes, artificial organs, mental health, personalized cancer therapy, 14 groups in total. Some very interesting projects that you can read about on our web pages. We're also host to Spark Norway, which is probably the most successful innovation program at the University of Oslo, offering to selected candidates mentoring, network building, and also financial support. And finally, we are interested in education, which is why I'm here. I could add my background is from chemistry. I was a professor of chemistry until 2 years ago when I started in my current position.
Thank you, Karl-Henrik, for your introduction. Anne-Berit Walter, Head of the Pharmacy Program at Oslo Metropolitan University. Please introduce yourself. Thank you.
Yes, I'm head of the program, as you told. And we are part of the Department of Life Science and Health in the Faculty for Health Sciences. And the faculty is Norway's largest health science faculty. Our goal is to be a leading provider of research-based knowledge to the welfare society, leading in terms of introducing new technology, innovation, solution, and efficient work methods. My background is from almost any part of the pharmacy profession. I've been working both in the industry, I've been working in the Directorate of Health, and in the academia for many years. And I see that this sort of meeting is very important in getting to understand each other, each other's possibilities and needs, and there is a great potential for a new collaboration. And I also see that we are in a position of great challenges in further developing the study programs and with increasing focus on innovation and production.
Thank you, Anne-Berit. So we will go to the next part of our session and trying to deep dive a bit more into unleashing the potential. And from a learning point of view, what does this really mean? So it is definitely clear from the conference today, as we have learned so far, that innovation will be important from this perspective. And if there is a potential, there is potentially also a gap and also potential opportunities. And also, what competencies do we need for the future in the life science industry in Norway? And how should new ways of educating people really happen? The traditional way of thinking that students are the ones that receive education is really changing rapidly. Learning is something we do every day, and we see all that learning leads to relevant results. It happens in interaction between people, as we've also seen through the conference today. Many coming back to that we are discussing new problems that we need to find new solutions to, and we haven't really been trained to solve those through the education, so we need new methods to learn how to solve new problems. And in this work together, in collaboration and building partnerships, we need more interpersonal and strategic capabilities, and it is becoming more and more crucial to solve those challenges. And that is why development of partnerships is so important. And also coming to the part where we need to develop education, we also need to develop the way we work together across industries and also across companies. And learning then through education becomes a new asset in this industry and for the companies. So coming then back to, from your perspective, Sanne Berit and Karl-Henrik, let's start by taking 2 steps back and asking why. Why do we then need to change the education and how learning happens in the industry and society?
I start?
Yes.
I think, first of all, it makes perfect sense to do this here in Norway. We've heard numerous stories, successful stories throughout the day from companies doing business in Norway. One thing is that it's really easy to establish a company here. I have a company, most of my colleagues have a company. You just, you need 30,000 kroner, 1 hour of work, and you are in business. So there's very little bureaucracy involved, at least before you reach the point when you need to deal with international patents, as we heard about from Agnete. We have trust-based society, which has transparent and predictable decision processes. There's literally no corruption at high levels in Norway. We are a stable country, and even though Norway in general is considered as an expensive country, the academic workforce is comparatively cheap here. So we are, despite what most people think and also what students think we are financially competitive. And one final thing that I should also like to add here with the American election behind us is that education is free in Norway. I think this is very important for us, as we can recruit the best heads from all over the nation, and not just from the families who can afford to send their kids to the best colleges. So I think we have a lot going for us here.
Yes, I would like to add that we have an important role in the academia to contribute to this development in the sector. But we also need to be aware that it takes time to develop new study programs. I would think that academia is in sort of a constant search of developing new programs that is needed in the industry. But we have some national curriculum regulations that could make changes a bit more challenging, and it takes time. But it doesn't mean that we're not interested or we're not agile. We'd like to be that. And we think that fruitful collaborations are 2 ways. The research-based innovation at the industries at the universities strengthen the industries, and research-intensive industry ask questions which form the basic for new research in the universities.
And if I could also build on what Agnete said, I made a note. She said that while she focused a lot on funding, and I will not challenge that at all. I think it's course raising. The amount of money that she talked about is always going to be hard. But if you look at what people say in surveys abroad, businesses in the life science industry, what they say limit their growth in general is in fact not lack of funding. It's also not lack of access to experimental equipment. It is lack of the ability to attract and retain a properly qualified workforce. That's the main problem. So that means that clearly the educational institutions have a very important job to do here.
Thank you, both of you. And I think this gives a really good perspective also to new ways of working. And I think it all stops with, or it starts with the awareness. And if we do not have the awareness from all the partners that we rely on in order to solve those potential challenges in the end, then we do not have really unleashed the potential. So very good to hear the awareness from your side as well. So, and also coming to the examples we've seen today, and also from your perspectives, you mentioned already some examples that we have already been working in new ways. I think the ambition of our working group in the Life Science Cluster is also to really take it one step further, to establish new partnerships and to also build on any opportunities we see from the members in the Life Science Cluster community, so to speak. that we give the opportunity to have new arenas for collaboration. But to be more inspired by this, it would also be very good to have examples from you where we already have succeeded on this how part on new ways of working. Carl-Henrik.
I think that maybe the most important thing for people outside academia I mean, really a take-home message for today should be that education is by no means static. It used to be. It used to be that everything was changed in every 15 years or so. For several reasons. When I was recruited, which is a few years back, there was no focus whatsoever on your teaching abilities. It's quite different now. In order to be recruited and get a permanent position, you need to demonstrate that you're not only capable but also interested in developing new methods. And that is also, if you want later on to be promoted, you will not get promoted just by doing a good job. You need to show interest in developing new methods, new ways of teaching. So young researchers in particular are very eager to get in touch with clients, so to say, from outside to get inspired and to change courses in the proper way. And one of the things that we've done at the Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences is, among other things, to have students exchange programs so that students can now get credits to work in a company for a few months during autumn or spring. It's a modest start, but I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, and I would like to add that what is very important for the universities, of course, are to get the most competent and the motivated students. This is really important. It's a huge project which needs collaboration with both the primary schools and the secondary schools. We all want the students or the best students. Another thing is also how we recruit internally. So that is also important, that we recruit people that are able to meet the new challenges. So at Oslo Met, we have become more and more conscious about these needs now, and we see that we need some more understanding about innovation and innovation skills, both among the employees and the students. And actually, we are searching for new people, new deans with innovation skills. I would like to say that from my point of view, that from the pharmaceutical innovation, this is important that it is formed in close collaboration with relevant pharmaceutical companies. We have then the possibility of using new technologies. We can use scientific knowledge to solve research, innovation, and then we can develop and solve problems together. It will be a sort of win-win situation. Students will then try to solve real-life cases, and they will be prepared for a future career in the pharma or in this industry. So that will be a win-win situation. And we are also more and more interested in this industry PhD, which will give us some long-term research collaboration that is very important for all of us. So I think we have a lot of possibilities that are not yet unleashed.
I gave a talk at the seminar at the Department of Chemistry a few weeks back, and I pointed out that 80% of the students with a degree from us end up with a job outside academia. This is known to everyone, but I also pointed out that our courses and our study programs are designed for the 20% that will have a career in academia. And, I get some split reaction. People saying, well, that's not true, but some people saying, I never thought of that. And it is true. I mean, what else? We design programs and courses for our own purpose. But as you've already heard, we are eager to change. We are a learning organization. We are willing to adapt our courses to fit the needs of the industry in general and the life science industry in particular. But we cannot do this in any random fashion. It cannot be based on assumptions that we might have regarding what the industry needs. It must be based on facts. So that's why it's very important that you guys being here today interact with universities, interact with institutions providing the education. Tell us what you need. Agnete mentioned a few things like documentation. I'm sure there's lots of other stuff that we could put on this list. So please interact with us. Either directly or through clusters like the life science cluster would be a good thing to do, and not just with the academic staff, but also with the students. I talk to new students, and you would be absolutely surprised to hear how little they know about what it is to work in the life science industry. If you ask them what does a typical work day look like in a startup company, they have no clue whatsoever. So in order to make good choices throughout their education, to be the good candidates that you need in the future, you need to be there and give them the advice that they need. That's very important. There are some opportunities here. Of course, if you come from a big company, you have a lot of resources in-house. You have systems for receiving new employees. You have an economy that will allow you to think long-term, etc. If you're a small company, it might not be that way. So I think for small companies in general, they would benefit a lot from strategic partnerships with academic institutions. And finally, I have to also mention, since the state secretary this morning mentioned the life science building, behind me you can see my background. I have a background here. This is the life science building. We've been very nervous about this life science building due to some serious budget overruns, but we received some happy news last week that it will be not only realized as you see it behind me, but it will in fact be even bigger, because now we will add a little bit to the tower on the left side. There will be some extra area there, and that area will be occupied by the Oslo University Hospital. At least if everything is going according to plan. So we will have a huge convergence environment in this area. It will be a cornerstone of Oslo Science City. No coincidence that the vice mayor was here this morning. And this will not only have the largest collection of scientific infrastructure and core facilities in Norway, but it will also have Norway's best experts within life sciences. So if you wonder if you should be in touch with the life science building once it's open, don't wonder anymore. Be there. That was a long speech.
Thank you, Karl-Henrik. I think this is quite inspiring, and also very good to hear that as long as the companies and all those having a problem to solve in life sciences, then it is possible to do it in collaboration and to find solutions together. And it seems that you are even that innovative already, that you would like to educate your own teachers in order to even develop your educational programs further. But it seems as a conclusion here that the opportunities lie in both perhaps making some changes, additional changes to new capabilities in the education programs, but also more in the way the learning happens in co-creation with partners, and also establishing these strategic partnerships, which we will be touching upon a bit later as well. So definitely this seems to be quite a good development for Norway and life sciences as well. Mm-hmm. And there is no doubt that there is a potential. And also the question is now, if you look back to the collaborators so far, we see that academia has a role here to play. We see that the companies, the industry has a key role, and then the public sector and the authorities. What would be your expectations to the authorities in order to enable for this collaboration?
I would like to start with my expectations for all those listening here today, because that's part of it. There is something called læreplan, learning plan for Norwegian high schools. We were offered the opportunity to give some feedbacks on the new plans by early next year, so I went through it. And you would be surprised to hear that life science or livsvitenskap in Norwegian, that word simply does not occur anywhere, which I think is kind of a problem, because if people don't know what life science is, maybe they're less likely to make the good choices that would lead them in that direction eventually. So I would encourage all of you to use these terms, life science, livsvitenskap, whenever appropriate, and we will try to work it into the curriculum in the high school so that eventually we get students, new students who know about this in the first place.
That's also a very good point. And also to you, Anne-Berit, what would be your expectations both to the companies listening in and also to the public sector and the authorities?
Well, I like to give an example from the authorities. So a couple of years ago, the Ministry of Education and Research, they had a leading role in initiating a new national program in developing new national curriculums for all the educational programs in the health sector. This is called Retos. It's a huge program. It's more than 20 programs altogether. And here we actually sat down together, the academia, the industry, and we have been working together with making new curriculums so they would be more up to date. And the goal of this work was to make sure that the students, they would have the knowledge that the industry actually needed when they finished the study. So I think that was very important. It was a very good work, and we are now making these programs available for the student next year for our program in pharmacy. And what I would expect from the companies is that I would like us to work together in many projects, master projects, PhD projects. We have a lot, we have many ideas that we would like to give to the industry and to many companies. And I hope that we can work with many research projects together. That would be very interesting. I think that is the way of moving Norway forward in any subject. Yeah.
Thank you, Anne-Berit. And we are actually already approaching the end of our session. And I would like to really give a big thank you to both you and also Ågot Åkra from NMBU, who has participated in our preparations for this session. It is really truly inspiring to see how the potential kind of outlie in front of us. We have great opportunities, and we will for sure continue with reaching out to Life Science Cluster members for invitations further and also participate in conferences in the future. So this topic does not have an end today. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Elise, Karl-Henrik, and Anne-Berit, and also Ågot for preparing. And really great to hear that you take such an innovative and adaptive approach to education. We have come to the end of today's program. So to everyone, thank you so much for joining us digital today. And a special thanks to all of you who have contributed to the event, sharing your advice and experiences in order to reach the common goal of unleashing the potential of life science from Norway. We look forward to seeing you again next year. And I know that Hanne Mette has prepared some concluding remarks.
Thank you very much, Lotte. So thank you again to all speakers and moderators of the discussions. A special thank you to Lotte also for leading us through this day. To all of you that have listened through the day, we have been more than 100 people listening in now for 4 hours. So even if we have used the traditional format of giving you talks and lectures, it has actually been quite a stretch. A lot of the presentations that we have made so far this year have been very quick, very short. Remember that this is how we used to do it. We used to take time, sit, listen to other people talk and think. and think ourselves. The thoughts that you have been having while listening to others now might be what spurs your next idea. So taking time to listen, taking time to thinking is also something we need to encourage as we are working in these digital formats. So I also encourage you to take one phone call after this meeting. Maybe that can be your next collaboration. Listening into all the speakers today, I also, it made me reflect a little bit that competence is core for everything that has been spoken about. We have been speaking about focus, professionality, and where the next ideas might come. And it made me also reflect that one of our national competitive strengths within life science might actually be in the agility, adaptivity, and the pioneering spirit that we have in Norway, and also the trust among players. If we look back on the trajectory of the successes we have had, who of you would have guessed which would be the next one? So I think that we should actually dare, each of us, to aim for excellence, as Agnete said. I'm not sure any of you would have guessed that Vaxibody would be our top company if you had looked a few years back. So dare to aim for excellence, dare to aim for being number one, and we in the community will definitely support you in that aim. So I look forward to seeing the next successes coming in the years to come. Thank you so much.